course she has it paid for, of course. My dollars. So this is the way the woman thinks. Instead of allowing the private sector a little tax and regulatory relief so that builders can actually build, Warren wants to impose government into the private sector. Every time this happens, markets become disjointed because the government knows how to produce nothing better than the private sector. Joining me now from Dallas, Texas, co-founder and chief strategist of GDP Advisors, Seth Denson. Seth, ostensibly she's basing this scheme on supply and demand. The problem is, in order to do this, in order to pay for it, and she says she's got it paid for with your taxpayer dollars, by the way, she's got to remove dollars from the private sector, and then they're consumed and regurgitated by the federal government, and that causes market dislocation, which is not good for the private sector, the free markets, if you will.
Well, that's right. And let's be clear, Graham, they're not just talking about your money. They're talking about your great-grandkids' money at this point. When you start talking in trillions, and let's be real, this is $500 billion on top of the $50 trillion for health care and the other trillions for universal child care and universal this and that, right? You're going to run out of that money. And so you're going to have to go into generational debt to get it. And so this turns our economic system on its ear. It isn't plausible. It's a talking point, not a policy. Let's be real.
There isn't enough money in the world to do all the plans that Elizabeth Warren is proffering, or Bernie Sanders for that matter, or the rest of them. There isn't enough money on the planet to pay for this. And by the way, if you do impose what she wants to impose, it's been proven, they've run the numbers, that she's going to have to impose a 100% income tax on certain Americans. 100% income tax. So how does that incentivize people to work exactly? Now, the numbers coming out right now, we measure a healthy economy. One of the ways is by building permits. And if we use this as a measurement, right now, our economy is looking rather healthy, is it not?
It is. I mean, you've got a massive number of building permits, new homes being filed to be built. That's also predicated on low interest rates and the availability of cash. A booming economy. People have jobs. They're making more money. This is that great economic cycle that we all hope for, that is different than the '08 situation where you had, we'll say, banks operating maybe a little on the wrong side of the way that they were lending out money. This is a positive thing. Now, this is really positive. The economic's in a great position.
You mentioned interest rates. Chairman Powell apparently met with Donald Trump at the White House, and they talked about negative interest rates. You don't actually see that happening on our landscape, do you?
I really don't. I mean, I think that, again, banks have learned from what they have done in the past. So I think that the bigger news out of that story was what they met in the residence. And, oh, my gosh, God help us that we actually invite somebody into our home. The president lives there, by the way, to have a conversation, right? I mean, yeah. We're grasping at straws of things to get upset about.
Although I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall, given all the things, all the nice things that President Trump has said about Jerome Powell and the Fed via Twitter.
I'm sure it was interesting.
Thank you.